Michalowicz. Today, we are very fortunate to have Mike Michalowicz with us. Mike has been creating lots of content recently to support entrepreneurs through the coronavirus event. Mike is the author of the latest release, which is Fix This Next. And just as we were coming on the call, Mike informed me Fix This Next has shot to the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. So congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
And Mike is also the author of Profit First and Pumpkin Plan and Clockwork, some of my favorite books that we support entrepreneurs through here at Tap the Potential, because we are all about work supports life. And Mike's work definitely is life-giving to entrepreneurs. So Mike, as we're diving in here today, I would love to hear from you. What are you noticing as, here we are, it's May 11th. We are, weeks and weeks into coronavirus and establishing the new normal. What are you noticing going on in the entrepreneurial community right now for entrepreneurs dealing with this?
Yeah. Well, I see diverging paths, which I kind of anticipated, and it's not a surprise. One path is, sadly, you see businesses going out of business because they're responding to the crisis through either shock and disbelief, meaning they're not doing anything, or they're doing desperate actions like 50% off everything, and they're just trying to keep sales going without consideration for margin. The other path I see is reinvention. I see businesses that are repositioning themselves, that they are really being cognizant of what the customer is asking for and answering those needs. I think we were doing a podcast, you and I call it the great big shift. And you gotta be careful to make sure you add the F there, the shift. But there's a massive change in needs that are coming about in this market. It's the best entree petri dish ever. And if we simply are cognizant and we listen closely and we test, we can grab some new opportunities. So I see it happening. And it doesn't necessarily mean businesses are all going to start booming right now because you're grabbing the new needs, but you're repositioning yourself. You're giving yourself authority because you're offering what customers actually need to greater know, like, and trust. And as the economy recovers, which could be quite a while from now, I suspect it will be, but when it recovers, you're going to catch the upside momentum. So that's the diverging paths I see.
Yeah. As you were saying that, one of the things that came to mind is the survival trap, which you wrote about first in the Pumpkin Plan, but you've been teaching a lot on that. And I think it's so critical for us. And I popped it up here on the stream for us.
Yeah, I love it.
We have to keep an eye on our bigger vision and the direction that we're headed. And, as you were talking about entrepreneurs doing price cuts and cutting margin just to survive, those are survival actions. They are not going to move us towards our vision. And so we want to always be mindful of making the choices that move us in the direction of our vision, and not the choices that they look like they'll get us through the moment, but they're not going to get us to the vision long term if we follow that trajectory outward, like price cutting. Things of desperation will get us very far off track from our vision over time.
One thing you're right. And one thing I found about this chart that you put up is so interesting is most people don't know the vision. I call it point B. So point A is the circle, right? Where the star is, that's point B, where you want to go or where you need to go. But most of us don't even know what the business needs from us. We just know what things are like right now, and we're trying to escape out. But sometimes we draw an arrow toward that star by pure happenstance. And the feeling is like, sometimes you walk in the office, and you're like, my gosh, today it's working. I finally, it's coming true. I got it all figured out. Yes. And then the next day we return and everything falls apart again.
Yeah.
That's called happenstance. Sometimes, rarely, but sometimes you draw an arrow toward the star, toward where the business should be going without knowing the star is even there. And that's when things are clicking because you did the right move, but because you don't know where the star is, you start that same cycle of escaping the now. So we have to be very clear on what we need next.
Absolutely. So, and I want to talk about how to figure out what we need next. Before we do that, I want to give a big shout out to Steve Dale, who's here watching. Anybody else who's here watching, let's post in the chat. I'd love to see you. And I want to invite you all to start a watch party. And in terms of let's support entrepreneurs everywhere in making those decisions that are going to move them toward their vision and get them out of survival trap mode. So you start a watch party, you are supporting the entire entrepreneurial community with that right now. So Mike, let's talk about there's so much. As one of the things that I'm hearing for entrepreneurs is, as the ones that are ramping up their business in the next few weeks are looking at coming back online, bringing team back into the office, getting sales going again, there are so many things in the business to be attended to. Like all of a sudden we've been in slow mode, and now all of a sudden, boom. Yeah. We've got to go. And so it's that classic entrepreneurial dilemma amplified on steroids. So that classic entrepreneurial dilemma is, there's so much I need to be doing in my business right now. I'm going to go over here, I'm going to work on this, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to work on that. And then we feel like I'm not getting any traction. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm just going in circles. So how do we know what we should be working on next in our business?
Yeah, so I would leverage the business hierarchy of needs, and how to do this is simply, there's 5 levels of needs in every business. Foundationally, every business needs sales. With no sales, no business, right? But once we have adequate sales, then it simply needs to be adequate to support the next level, which is profit. And we need profit. Many businesses actually that have gone out of business in this market is because they had sales, they didn't have profit. Once you have profit, you need order. So I would look at foundationally, if my business right now, does it need more sales? And it's not just volume of sales. Does it need more sales to support profit? If there's no sales, you need sales. If there's some sales, we need to look at the link between profitability and those sales and maximize the profitability. And if the profitability is maximized and there's still not enough left over, then we got to amplify sales. So we always look at the foundation and work our way up. I also have like a real simple hack you can use. You can just use a piece of paper and put all your tasks there in a column. Now, there's a couple of things unique about this. First of all, anytime you have an idea of something you need to do, if you don't write it down, it starts bouncing in your mind and it becomes a big point of distraction. So just writing down a task, even if you never do it, relieves you from that distraction. The second thing is, don't put date priorities unless there's a commitment to another party to deliver at a specific time. And if there's a lot of dates written in there, it means you're over-committing to other people. So that's an issue. Then the last column, I put a $sign, a smiley face, or a infinity sign next to each task. If the task will generate money within the next 60 days, it gets a $sign next to it. If it's in service of a client, it gets a smiley face. If it is creation of a system, it gets an infinity sign. And sometimes I'll do something that serves a client, makes money, and creates a future system. That gets all 3 symbols. As I go through this list, anything with the most symbols gets prioritized over anything with no symbols, because that is moving my company forward in the key elements we just talked about of sales, profitability, and order systemization. So that's the system I use. You can use right away without any planning, without even needing to read the book, fix this next. You can just get right to it and start prioritizing appropriately.
Yeah. As you're talking about that, that's a system you taught me years ago, and I have used it. And I think one of the things that is challenging for those of us who've been in business for a while is many of us have been working on the higher levels of the business hierarchy of needs. We've got sales, we've got profit, right, where we're putting order in place and then moving into impact in those ranges. With what's happening with coronavirus, a lot of us are right back down, at the sales and profit level. And so I just want to say, there is no shame in having to work backwards on generating sales and getting that going again. And
no.
It's just the reality that we're all there. And what you were talking about earlier in respect to talking to our clients and customers and really understanding what their needs are is creating an opportunity for all of us to be pivoting and looking at what can we offer? What are our strengths that we have as a team, our abilities and our product offerings that really tie into what our top clients and customers are telling us they need most now. So I think this is a time where we really have to put away our old ideas about what our clients and customers wanted from us and re-examine that very, very carefully as we're looking at ramping sales up again. You have a very powerful story in Fix This Next about a woman who was lost, and she was relying on her instincts
yes,
to get her out of the situation.
Yeah.
I think it really illustrates what we need to be very mindful of as entrepreneurs right now as we're recovering and trying to come out of the impact of coronavirus.
And this goes back to that diagram you showed, the survival trap. So her name was Amanda Eller. She is a Hawaiian resident. So she lives in the state of Hawaii, and she decides one particular day to go hiking. This is favorite of hers. It's about a 3-mile hike. She's done it routinely, and she likes to take a pause and meditate occasionally. Well, she on this one particular hike about a year ago, she's going and she sees a log in the distance that she wants to sit on and meditate. It's in a little meadowy area. She does that. She closes her eyes. She opens her eyes, 20 minutes later, and she starts walking out. But she was disoriented because she walked out on the wrong path. Well, very quickly, this wrong path became confusing, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to try this other path and another." Actually, at one point, she was walking on not a human path, but a boar's path, and she said subsequently that she was trying to use instinct because her instincts are so strong to get her out. Well, her instincts kept her trapped in that woods for 17 days. She was found clinging to life, trying to navigate the next way out of the current circumstances. And what this illustrates is the classic trap of entrepreneurship is we are lost in the woods and we simply say, oh, let me take that path. And we march in and say, then that doesn't feel right or it's wrong. We take a next path. We start moving in circles. She was found, I know this is not a shocker, she was found less than a mile from her car walking in the classic circular patterns. And what I argue in the book is if she simply had a compass. Now, she didn't walk in with water. That was a mistake. She didn't have her iPhone, but batteries die. All she needs is that super reliable compass saying, this is true north. This is where you think we should be going. Let's go the right direction. And I think that's what our businesses need too. That little hierarchy I shared with the sales, profit, order, it ultimately builds into what I call the business hierarchy of needs. There's 5 fundamental needs that every business has. Once we know what the business needs from us most, we don't trust on our instinct anymore. We simply say, this is what the data, this is where the compass points, and we start walking that direction. And you'll walk straight out of the forest into the parking lot and drive home to the bank with your business.
And that is the whole premise of Fix This Next, your book. And it is about that we cannot listen to our instinct as entrepreneurs when it comes to growing the business, surviving and moving from surviving to thriving. Our instincts will lead us in the wrong direction. So we need tools and guidance around making the right choices. So I know in Fix This Next, we are at Tap the Potential. We are founding fixers. So we offer our clients the Fix This Next assessment. We've gotten to pilot it with you at Breakthroughs on the Bayou. Over the last 2 years, you've been working with our entrepreneurial community around Fix This Next, and we've seen it work. Our clients love using it, and we're really excited. Just this week, we are going to have it online for all of our clients to be using the Fix This Next assessment at Tap the Potential.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine having someone outside that in that parking lot that was just kind of shooting a flare up every 3 or 4 seconds saying, this is the way you need to head? I mean, she would walk straight out under her own power instead of being carried out by a rescue crew. That's the power of having an outside expert is, if anything, they're not emotionally attached to your business. They're not in the forest, they're at the outside. And if they're educated on a system like this, then they can start saying, this is the way you need to march and keep us on the path. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate that.
Oh, and it's so, I appreciate you, Mike. It's so timely to be able to roll this out right now as so many entrepreneurs are in that space of looking at what should I be working on next in the business. I know you also have some more tools that you brought with you that you wanted to share with our listeners. And while you're gathering that up, I just want to give a big shout out to Natalie. I believe she started a watch party. If anybody else has started a watch party, post it in the chat so we can give you a shout out. And big shout out to Patty Stewart. She is our photographer at Breakthroughs on the Bayou. Patty. Mike a hard time when she's taking our photos there. One of the fun things that we do at Breakthroughs on the Bayou is our classic jumping photo, because we're all excited about 4-week vacations and work supports life. And we were, just before coronavirus hit, we were all together here at the Entrepreneurs Retreat Center celebrating, work supports life. And a week after that, then we were all faced with coronavirus. So it's a little bit surreal that was just a couple of months ago.
Unbelievable. It was the last retreat I was at. So thank God you did that. I want to show, this is, I just hand drew this. It's called the double helix trap. And I think this epitomizes what we're talking about is going to be happening in this environment. So this is so fresh. It hasn't even achieved, I ultimately, design them nicely. But this one I was just working on literally this morning. It's something I've talked about in the past, but I wanted to share this because I think there's a breakthrough here. This says the word sales. Oops, man, I'm on the screen here. This says the word sales. This says delivery. And you can see it's a double helix, kind of like a DNA code. What happens for many small businesses is we have sales, we ramp up sales, And then as we need to deliver on the sales we delivered or are offered, now the sales dip off because we don't have the time to focus there. So sales dip as deliveries increase. But now as we finish and tail off all those deliverables, we got to start ramping sales again. So many business owners flip, flop. So the question is, how do we get through this? And you're going to experience that in this environment. Once you find something that's working, you're going to start selling a lot of it because you need to, but then you got to switch to delivering. And now they become trapped. So what we need to do is introduce, right here it says delivery, support, and systems. And we need that before sales. So as you're selling, you start experiencing double helix, bring in other people to start doing the delivery for you. The mistake I see some business owners making is they try to bring in sales to do the sales for them. I found it's a rare exception that someone can outsell the business owner. The business owner is intimately connected. They understand their business. Yes, other people can sell for them ultimately. But if there's any singular talent I see most consistently for business owners, it's the ability to sell. It supersedes their ability to deliver. So that's why we start off by getting in delivery support. Can we have people start out, taking some of the tasks off us? So you continue to sell, but now the delivery is starting to be outsourced to other people and it starts flattening out the delivery line. Then we get to the point with those deliveries in place that now we can start bringing in those rainmakers, those other salespeople, and start flattening this out and break out the double helix trap. So that's a real simple system, which actually I know you've used because you have a team, a sales team, a deliverable team. You have that. And once you have that, that positions you for continued scaling in this environment.
And I just want to speak from my own school of hard knocks. The first thing that I brought on was a salesperson. And you are absolutely right that if we had reversed that and I had more delivery support, that would have made some of the chaos that I went through as we started growing, that would have taken some of that off of my plate. And the thing about getting the sales up is it creates chaos in the business if the delivery systems are not strong. So the emphasis on getting those delivery systems, and it doesn't even have to be somebody replacing you on the delivery side of things, supplementing.
Right.
Using systems like we are putting our onboarding system into Asana, and we're going to have a checklist that we run through as we revamped our onboarding system in the last year. So those are things that don't necessarily involve team members doing it, except for some support team in place. So there's lots of ways to get creative around that.
Totally. And you can get lower cost support for certain items that are repeating and low hanging, so to speak. And the funny thing is, if I spend an hour mowing the lawn or I spend an hour doing heart surgery, I spend an hour either way. But one takes sophisticated background and training, and maybe someone else could mow the lawn for me. Now I can get 2 heart surgeries done in 2 hours as opposed to just one. So that's kind of one way to look at it. Here's another thing I wanted to share. And I wanted to share something after this too, is block control. If you're feeling overwhelmed, AKA you're human, this is the method that I use. I call it block control. And we write down the forever circumstance first. We write down what makes us feel overwhelmed. Well, my business forever is going to be struggling. Forever I feel this way. Then we rewind and say, what can we do in the next year to put some constraints or control around that? In the next year, if I simply do these 3-4 things, that forever horrible circumstance I'm imagining won't come true. But for some people, even a 1-year outlook is too overwhelming. Then we simply rewind and say, what can I do the next month? And then I skipped a week here, but then what can we do the next day? So if you're feeling overwhelmed, you keep on compressing down the time frame you're considering, saying, what action can I take in this shorter time frame? And in the most extreme circumstances where you're just sitting in bed and say, I can't even get up, I feel so overwhelmed, what can we just do in the next minute? Open my eyes and just have my eyes open. What can I do in the next minute after that? Just put my feet on the floor. And by bringing it down to the most manageable blocks, we start bringing control about, and we can start marching forward in our life and in our business.
I think that's so important, that sense of I have some control. Things are not all outside of my control and things aren't happening to me, but I'm in control. When we recorded for the Profit by Design podcast last Friday, you talked about one of the things that you're hearing from entrepreneurs is a need for confidence right now because the wind has been knocked out of our sails, literally and figuratively, wind knocked out of our sails. And how do we regain confidence, feeling in control? Again, that there are circumstances and things that we can work on that move us forward is a big way to regain that feeling of confidence.
Yeah. And what I actually have a system for I can show you is that I always thought, Dr. Sabrina, that confidence was something you're either born with or not. You're a confident person or not. And then I discovered everyone has confidence. It's just the application of where we're confident. And once you know what you're confident at already, you can extract the recipe you follow to achieve that confidence. Everyone's confident drinking water that I interviewed so far. Well, right. So I'm like, well, why are you confident drinking water? Well, I probably started with a sippy cup, right? So a beginner's level. I probably spilled some on me and my mom or dad laughed and I laughed at it. At times I definitely choked and coughed, and still as an adult, sometimes I do that, but I stick with it. And then we can take that recipe and translate it into what our business needs. What I like to do is I'll show you this. I did want to mention the book real quick where this is all derived from. Is that cool?
Yes.
Okay. So just for everyone watching, everything I'm sharing here is derived from the essence of Fix This Next. It's the DNA. And here's what I like to offer, and I'll tell you why. I like to invite you to get a copy of Fix This Next right now on Amazon. There's a couple of reasons I'm asking this. I just launched the book this past week, and Fix This Next is the pinnacle work of my life. I spent 5 years writing this book, and I wrote it for crisis. I never anticipated what we're experiencing now, but I wrote it for this moment. The book was born for this. I ask that you get it right now for two reasons. One is it's the most affordable and effective way I can serve you. So if you go on Amazon, to get Fix This Next, I promise you it'll serve you. It is my life's work. Secondly, I have a very selfish objective. If we get a few people right now doing the watch party and going and buying a copy of Fix This Next on Amazon, the Amazon engine kicks in and it starts marketing it to other people. So if you're willing to do it, it will serve you, I promise, and it'll also serve me. Post in the chat, or even better, I actually something better than this. Email me. I'll show you the book. It's email me, Mike at Mike Michalowicz. When you buy it, you can, my name's spelled right here. Just email me, Mike at MikeMichalowicz.com, and put Sabrina rules in the subject line, because I don't know it came from you.
Yeah.
I'll send you a gift. I have I call it the lost content. There's about 30 sections of this book that didn't make it to the final cut.
Wow.
At the very end. Yeah. Because the book would have been too long. So with my editor, we started to kill babies, sacred cows. And I have the stuff. I will email you the lost content. So email me, Mike at MikeMichalowicz.com. Tell me you bought the book. Don't send the receipt. It's the honor system. I trust you. And I will send you the lost content as a thank you for doing that.
Wow, that's awesome. And having read some of Fix This Next as one of the early readers, if any of that was cut and it's in that lost content that you're sharing, it is good stuff.
It's great. There's a great story. If you like Gary Keller, the founder, Keller Williams, I talk about my experience with him. Wonderful human. I talk about James Bond, if you're into James Bond movies, and tons of other stuff. In fact, there's even initial cover designs and the initial model that we developed that I presented at Breakthroughs in the Bio 2 years ago, the Ascension model and how it was originally structured. And you can see how it morphed over time as we were testing with other companies. So, yeah. So thanks.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So if you, just to remind everybody, purchase your book, Fix This Next on Amazon. I posted the link in the chat so people can just click on it and get right there. And it will serve you, definitely. This is a book that you need right now, but it is really in service of the greater entrepreneurial community. One of the things that I also want to say is that right now is a great time, if you haven't done so, to take our entrepreneurial burnout assessment at Tap the Potential. And what you're going to learn when you take this particular assessment is how well is your business supporting you and your mental health and your life. And so you'll get a handle on where you are with respect to any symptoms of entrepreneurial burnout. Many of the entrepreneurs out there before we came into coronavirus, Mike, were dealing with entrepreneurial burnout.
Oh, yeah.
I was piloting that assessment. I was seeing people's scores just kind of going through the roof just because of the natural state of entrepreneurship. And one of the things that I'm really excited about with us offering Fix This Next at Tap the Potential is it's going to help us just be that much more faster and efficient in our delivery with reducing entrepreneurial burnout and getting our better business, better life clients to that place where work really does support life. And for those who've been impacted by coronavirus, just being able to make that pivot and get back on track. So if you want to take that assessment, I'm going to post that in the link. And we are doing something really special at Tap the Potential, which is When you take our entrepreneurial burnout assessment, we're giving you the opportunity to debrief it with a member of our team, and we will also send you another copy of Fix This Next. So why would anyone need 2 copies of Fix This Next? Well, you could give one to a friend and support a friend and show up and be a gift in someone's world. And that's really what I would recommend, is get your own copy of Fix This Next now, and then take our assessment, let us send you another copy, and find another entrepreneur out there and be a gift and share it with them.
Yeah, and your team too, right? So, we have a team, we're tiny, we have a team of 12, but our team reads it here. And this way, Jenna or Jeremy or Liz or someone can call me out and say, hey, here's where I think we are, and we can have an assessment around it. It's a great communication starter. Your vendors can use it too. So thank you. There's some emails coming in right now, so I just want to say thanks. Actually, the ones came in, Leslie McClure just got too. So Leslie, thank you.
Oh, awesome.
Pat, I can't read this thing. Oksana. So thank you. Here's the confidence map, by the way. So the confidence map, this is what I was telling you about, this is the strategy. You can simply deconstruct what have I been doing successfully in the past, but then you can take that recipe for drinking water and you see, start slow, laugh at yourself, whatever the recipe or elements that work for you. And then you put an area where you lack confidence currently, and then you can apply it. Like, I'm terrified to do public speaking. Well, can we start slow? How we set ourselves up to laugh at ourselves? When I drink water and I spill, I probably don't punish myself. So don't punish yourself if you mess up. And you'll start discovering your own recipe toward that. Just wanted to share it.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I want to share in relation to building confidence, when I was a brand new coach and I was learning how to coach, sometimes I would go on calls with clients and I would feel like, I don't know what to talk about. I'm really nervous. So I just accidentally discovered about starting conversations asking about wins and successes. And when I discovered that, one, it helped me build my confidence as a coach. But what I discovered in talking with entrepreneurs and asking about their wins and successes is oftentimes we don't focus enough on our wins and successes. We focus on the problems, and what we focus on grows. So if we're focusing on the problem, that's what's going to grow bigger and bigger. If we shift and we focus on, well, what was successful this week? What did I move forward? Where are the wins? And looking at the learning that we can get from those wins, I find that to be the number one confidence booster during times of crisis. And for me, I reflect on, I've been an entrepreneur now 15 years, which is longer than I was ever an employee. And so when it runs through my head, like, oh no, what's going to happen? Is the business going to go under? I'm remembering I have 15 years of success.
Yeah.
And, that there's a foundation here and there are things that I know to do. And so I want to offer that to other entrepreneurs. Make an intentional focus around your wins and successes in the coming weeks and look at how you can build your confidence and your team's confidence by focusing on those wins and successes. So Mike, as we go out, any final words?
We've been here before, my friends. Small business has got punched in the face. This happens, it seems like every 5 to 10 years, recession hits. Funny enough, in Facebook, it shows like, here's what you did 10 years ago or 11 years ago. Here's a post. 11 years ago, a video of me talking about the recession that we were going through 11 years ago, and that we've got this and how to navigate it. So as tough as it feels to go through this, it's definitely normal that we go through it. And there's some predictability. The biggest, most predictable part is there's going to be a surge. We still don't know when, but a year or two from now, or maybe a few months, maybe longer, the surge is going to happen. So our job now is to stick it out, to sustain, to find new ways to be of service, but also position yourself for the great opportunity that's coming. I encourage you, start recruiting the best right now. Now that's different than hiring, right? You don't hire people you can't afford, but start the recruiting pool now. Get those best candidates ready so that when you start getting that upward momentum, you can bring them on quickly and catch the wave that's coming.
Yeah, and just a shout out around Hire the Best. This really is the time to be out there looking for A players. My book, How to Hire the Best, the Contractors Edition, is the latest edition. And in September, we have the Entrepreneurs Edition coming out. And I think the timing is going to be perfect with these businesses coming up and ready to hire. And let's do this. We've got this, right, Mike?
Yeah, we got this. And thanks for the emails coming in. Another one came in from Michelle. What I'll do is if anyone sees the recording, this rule still applies. Just email me Sabrina rules when you order the copy of Fix This Next, and I'll send everyone emails as soon as I can this afternoon. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
See y'all.